Yes, sir. Good morning. Good morning, Divesh. Please join the class. Yes, sir. Wait a minute. Inform others also to join the class immediately. Okay, sir. Huh? We will discuss some of the descriptive topics which will be useful for your test as well as for your university examination. So we had discussed some many topics, but descriptively how you can write and all those things we'll discuss. I'll put the message in. Yes, yes. Niti, why you are not joined the class? Yeah, 9:30. Second hour class. We'll discuss some of the important questions which are descriptive in nature. Okay, that will help you to write the university as well as third test. Okay, okay. Mm. Okay, okay. Please inform others also to join. Santosh, Prashant, some of them. Okay, thank you. Hello? 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 Hello, Sima, please join the class. Please join the class. Hello? Good morning, Sima. Please join the class. Okay. Sadeh Kumar, good morning. So please join the class, pa. Sir, link is not there, sir. I am waiting for the link. Link I have sent over the group, no? See, 9:20 itself I have sent the group link in WhatsApp group. I have sent to your personal ID also. Check once. Our regular WhatsApp group is there, no? Cyber security. In that also I have sent, and I have sent by 9:19. Please check today only. You just check the cyber this one our group. You check. It has gone from here. Uh, See, others they are joining. Okay. Once again, I will check. Send if you want. Okay. So it is there in the cyber security group. Join in the cyber security group. It is there. It has been sent in the group at 9:16. Once again I have sent out now at 9:13. Please join. Okay.
ನಿಮಗೆ ಉಸಿರಾಟದ ತೊಂದರೆ, ಜ್ವರ, ಕೆಮ್ಮು ಅಥವಾ ನೆಗಡಿಯಂತಹ ಲಕ್ಷಣಗಳು ಇದ್ದರೆ ಆಪ್ತ ಮಿತ್ರ ಸಹಾಯವಾಣಿ. ಹಲೋ ಸರ್.
Good morning, Sinchana. I have sent the link over the WhatsApp group. Please join the class. Quickly join. ಹಲೋ
ಸರ್, ಬಿಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಸರ್. ಅದೇ ಒಂದು ಮಾತು ತಿಳಿಸೋಣ.
ಆಯ್ತಪ್ಪ, ನಾನು ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
ಸರಿ ಸರ್.
ಹಲೋ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದೀನಮ್ಮ.
ಸರ್ ಅದು ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ನಮಗೆ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಯಾವುದು.
ಆ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಈಗ ಸಿಂಚನ ವಾಟ್ಸಪ್ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ಗೂ ಕಳ್ಸಿದೀನಿ. ಸೈಬರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ MC8 ಅದಕ್ಕೂ ಕಳ್ಸಿದ್ದೀನಮ್ಮ.
ಅದೇ ಸರ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ನಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಮಗೂ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ, ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಲಿಂಕ್.
ಹೆಂಗದು ಸಾಧ್ಯ?
ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಡೇಟಾ ಆಫ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದಾ ನಿಮ್ದು ಸರ್? ನಿಮ್ದು ಡೇಟಾ ಆಫ್ ಇದೆಯಾ ಸರ್? ಲಿಂಕ್ ಸೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಕಳ್ಸಿದ್ದೀನಮ್ಮ. ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ನಾನು ಡೆಸ್ಕ್ಟಾಪ್ ಇಂದಾನೆ ಕಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ವಾಟ್ಸಪ್ಗೆ.
ಬಟ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಎರಡನ್ನೂ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ಲಿಂಕ್.
ನಾ
ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ಸರಿ ಕಳಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
You got the link?
Yes, sir. I got the link.
Okay. Welcome. So, are you able to see the screen? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Welcome to all of you. Very good morning. So today we'll discuss some of the important topics. We had discussed all the topics and we covered the syllabus, and you attended the 2 MCQ tests and you scored good marks. All these things are fine, but the third test will be the descriptive. Also, university is in the process of getting ready for the examination. Therefore, it is required for you to have some idea about how to answer descriptive questions. So today we will discuss some of the important topics, and I have written those topics in the form of questions, possible questions for the main examination, and for you as well as for your third test. And I'll be discussing in 3 different classes. Please continuously attend because I'll be revising entire syllabus in all these 3 classes. Therefore, attend regularly. Next today class, tomorrow class, and day after tomorrow class, we'll finish the revision of the entire syllabus, and also I will tell you what are the important questions, what are the possible questions. Okay, it is not that I am telling you the questions, but I am preparing you to answer some of the questions, and also I'll be sharing the material that you can use it as a study material for your descriptive question and answers. So one thing, you can refer your PPTs, which is also notes, and also your MCQ question and answers, and your MCQ quiz that you have attended over the Google forums, and plus these materials. So I have written here as some questions and solutions. Friends, these are the questions that you can expect. You have studied about the port forwarding in the Unix commands module 4. There, what is port forwarding? All those things you have studied. But while you are discussing the port forwarding, I also told you to know the important port numbers. So you may expect a question like this: identify any 4 network protocols and their port numbers. So you know there are well-known ports, and the port number ranges from 0 to of the order of 65K, and you should know file transfer protocol TCP works on two ports 20 and 21 for TCP. Secure Shell SSH works in the versions of transmission control protocol version and in the UDP also. Okay, and this Secure Shell SSH works on port number 22. Similarly, Telnet protocol, which works on transport layer protocol TCP, and it works on the port number 23. Simple Mail Transfer Protocol SMTP, which is also based on TCP, works on port number 25. IP Security Protocol, IP, this is a security protocol which works on network layer, and it works on port number 20 and 21. Domain Name Server DNS, which works both on TCP and UDP on the transport layer, and it works on the port number 53. Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol DHCP, it works on UDP protocol, and it works on port number 67 and 68. Trivial File Transfer Protocol TFTP, it works on UDP port number 69. HTTP, what works on transport protocol, and port number it uses is 80. Post Office Protocol PO3, which works on transport protocol, uses the port number 110. So here I have given you all famous protocol that you are supposed to remember and their port numbers. You may be asked to write any 4 network protocols because in the syllabus they are not given you to know the famous protocols and their port numbers. However, these protocols you have studied in your networks as well as indirectly when we are discussing cyber security subject. Therefore, these protocols are possible protocols for which they may ask you to mention the port number and the protocol. So you please go through this table just now what I explained and prepare for your examination, both for the third internals as well as for your university examination. So explain any 3 of the following briefly. Explain them against different categories of cyber crimes and give one example for each. Friends, you know, right, that we have studied different attacks in cyber security. For example, salami attack, are also known as salami techniques. This technique or attack is also mentioned in your cyber security textbook written by Nina Garbhole, Sunit Belapure, published by Villai. Right? This is your textbook. From this textbook, which is in your syllabus, I have taken these questions: salami attack and salami technique, data diddling, webjacking, okay, popular attacks against 3G mobile networks, credit card frauds in mobile computing. Okay, so what you have to do is explain any 3 of the following. Here 5 things are given. Out of that you have to explain any 3. For the examination you have to be prepared with all these 5 techniques along with other techniques. Most probably here these techniques are taken which are generally neglected, are not so famous in our discussion, but important in point of view of your syllabus, as well as when a question paper setter refers this textbook, he may pick up these questions: salami attack, data diddling, webjacking, popular attacks against 3G mobile networks, credit card frauds in mobile computing. Here an attempt has been made to recap these attacks once again. Okay, so just becomes an hint for you to explain these techniques. Salami attack or salami technique, the first question, sub question in question number 1b. Salami attack or salami techniques is a financial crime. That means you make a alteration, modification either in the logic or in some part of the program that appears to be very small, but significantly it benefits the attacker. For example, if I am collecting 10 paise, 10 paise, not even 1 rupee. Today we say 1 rupee is not having any value, right? 10 paise, 1 by 10th of a rupee appears to be small. Suppose if I am introducing a logic in a program which works in all banks. So let us say 100 crores of people in India have the bank account out of 130 crores. Then 100 crores people from everybody I'm collecting say 10 paise, right? 10 paise. Then I'll be getting a 1 crore rupees. So this is a this is like a small but significant. So we have given an example here. Example, a bank employee inserts a program bank service that detects a small amount of money, say 1 rupee from the account of every customer. This is another example where we can think of salami attack or salami technique, which is also a crime. So next is data diddling. Data diddling. 1 second. So everybody is there, right? Hello? Listening?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine, fine. Data diddling. Have you heard about the data diddling? What is data diddling? Sadhu Kumar?
No, sir. I did not heard.
In our class, we have discussed data diddling. For example, let us think of some illegal connection from the BESCOM, right? The power supply. So let us say some persons have taken an illegal connection. He generally, when he has taken an illegal connection, he may bribe some authority in the Karnataka Electricity Board or BESCOM, whatever we call. And when he was given bribe, not only he is he is not informing the other authorities. One, second, he may arrange for making modifications in the bill. That electric bill, suppose say this is one case. So suppose if you are having a some illegal connection, only legal connections in that say you are having a high power consumption. So then, so 1 lakh units is the power consumption. It will be 1 lakh, but while processing, some logic is written so that so 10 is not considered. Okay, 10,000 is considered. The bill is prepared for 10,000, and in the actual bill, when they are printing the actual bill, they are showing 1 lakh units. Okay, but the bill amount is for 10,000. So such small variations they'll be doing. We call it as a data diddling attack, which involves altering raw data just before a computer processes it and then changing it back after the processing is completed. Example, electricity boards in India have been the victims to data diddling. I have given one example of how it happens. Okay, so you can see, check in the Google, you'll come across different cases with respect to the data diddling. Webjacking. So webjacking, like hijacking. Webjacking is taking the control of a website forcefully by cracking the password and later changing it. Generally, the password sniffing is employed. So they will use the password sniffing technique. Okay, and they will keep listening to the password usage of a particular website, and they will crack the website, okay, forcefully. This is called webjacking. These are the some of the attacks. Now let us come to the popular attacks against 3G mobile networks. So far we have seen, we are talking about the computer virus. Let us specify, or let us go to some cases of 3G mobile networks. 3G mobile networks. So 3G mobile networks may be with a phone or some other any other cellular networks we will concentrate. Okay, viruses and worms. In this, we know virus and worms, and we'll be able to give the examples. We are talking specifically here about Kabir worm and mosquito trojan. So these are the two important terminologies that you need to remember: Kabir worm and mosquito trojan. DOS, denial of service attack. So it can happen in 3G mobile networks also. Overbilling attack. Okay, these are the some of the attacks which are popular attacks against 3G mobile networks. Kabir, what is this Kabir? Kabir worm, okay, Kabir worm is also known as Caribe, okay, different names are there. Symbian, EPOC.Kabir, these are some of the names. It is a computer worm developed in 2004 that is designed to infect mobile phones running Symbian operating system. Symbian is an operating system. Okay, it is believed to be a first computer worm that can infect mobile phones. It is first computer worm that can infect mobile phones. When a phone is infected with Kabir, the message Caribe is displayed on the phone's display and is displayed every time the phone is turned on. The worm then attempts to spread to other phones in the area using wireless Bluetooth signals. The worm was not sent out in the wild but sent directly to antivirus firms who believe Kabir in its current state is harmless. However, it does prove that mobile phones are also at risk from virus writers. Experts also believe that the worm was developed by a group who call themselves 29A, the group name, okay, identity. A group of international hackers as a proof of concept worm in order to catch the world attention. Several firms subsequently released tools to remove the worm, first of which was the Australian business TSG Pacific, which was written as a tool to remove the worm called Kabir worm. So I am giving more explanation with respect to the Kabir worm. This explanation is important. You may able to elaborate. If they ask you to write the short notes on Kabir worm, then you should be able to have the ability to elaborate and write with respect to this Kabir worm. The worm can attack and replicate on Bluetooth enabled Series 60 phones. The worm tries to send itself to all Bluetooth enabled devices that supports object push profile, which can also be non-Symbian phones, desktop computers, or even printers. The worm spreads as a .sys file installed in the app's directory. Kabir does not spread if the user does not accept the file transfer or does not agree with the installation. Though some older phones would keep on displaying pop-ups as Kabir resent itself, rendering UI useless until yes is clicked. Kabir is the first mobile malware ever discovered. While the worm is considered harmless because it replicates but does not perform any other activity, it will result in shortened battery life on portable devices due to constant scanning for other Bluetooth enabled devices. Kabir was named by the employees of Kaspersky Lab. You know Kaspersky is an antivirus. Okay, there is a Kaspersky Lab also which develops different softwares including the antivirus, and their colleague Elena Kabirova. Okay, so he was the one who main contributor of this. Along to keep their name, they have named this as Kabir Worm, a new pirated game that next this completes Kabir Worm. The next one is Mosquito Trojan, right? So here I am uh, we are talking about popular attacks against 3G mobile networks. In that, see, popular attacks against 3G mobile networks. I will just bold this: virus and worms. In that Kabir worm, the next one is mosquito trojan. So people call this as a mosquito trojan, okay, which is actually a game. Mosquito trojan is a game, new game, new pirated game that describes itself as mosquito version 2.0, okay, and it contains a trojan that sends out premium rate SMS messages without the user consent. The trojan can affect phones running the widely used series 60 Symbian operating system. Analysts at the different laboratories said that hardware and software vendors and operators should advise user on how to prevent the spread of the trojan, which is contained in a .sis file. So simple explanation with respect to the mosquito trojan. You can see many messages in the Google search explaining how mosquito trojan has uh, bite of different mobile phones. Okay, how it has infected. Next is credit card frauds in mobile computing. Short notes on credit card frauds in mobile computing. So there's an increased ubiquitous computing. That means anywhere, anytime, from any place, you can use the devices for doing some computation. As you are aware, earlier computation was referring only to do mathematical computation. Now computation is usage of mobile phone or any computing device for some purpose of service or otherwise. So increasing due to ubiquitous computing, increasing capabilities, power, and reduces costs available to all. So when we improved ubiquitous computing, security challenges are also came up. We are supposed to face those security challenges such as authentication service, registry, cryptographic security challenges. These are the challenges when we go for mobile computing. Even though they are difficult to face and implement in wireless mobile computing environment, but still we have to do. We know that wireless is uh, inherently vulnerable because of its different nature, because you'll be having a shared network and the information is broadcasted, and when information is in the wireless media, when it is in the air, anybody can listen to it using a proper device and protocol. So credit card fraud detection, because of the wireless nature, mobile computing nature, ubiquitous nature, has become a challenging one. Fraud detection has always been subject of some surveys and commentary articles because of the severe damage to the society. So fraud detection, especially debit card or credit card uh, frauds are always people will be discussing, and they will expect you to uh, give some solutions for this. Fraud detection, it has damaged, proposed different types of credit card frauds such as bankruptcy fraud, theft, okay, application fraud, and behavioral fraud. This different types of the frauds are there. Okay, people will use various technique to combat this type of fraud, such as decision tree, okay, genetic algorithms. People will use clustering technique and neural network technique. They will use. Okay, so these are some of the informations that you can write with respect to that. So you can look at the more more depth information by going to researchgate.net, where you'll get different articles which explains about the investigation of different statistical techniques to credit card fraud. So of course this is out of the syllabus, but you by referring to that, you can make your own sentences when you are answering your exam questions. In a bid to limit customer liability in fraudulent credit card online transactions, the Reserve Bank of India has come out with the revised guidelines and has also sought to make rules stricter for banks in cases of frauds. With the increased thrust on financial inclusions and customer protection, and considering the recent surge in customer grievances relating to unauthorized transactions resulting in debits to their accounts or cards, the criteria for determining the customer liability in these circumstances have been reviewed. The RBI said in a circular, according to the revised guidelines, a customer will have zero liability in respect of a fraudulent transaction if there is a contributory fraud or negligence on the part of the bank, irrespective of whether or not the transaction is reported by the customer. In case of a third party breach also, where the deficiency lies neither with the bank nor with the customer, and the customer informs the bank within 3 working days of receiving communication from the bank regarding the unauthorized transaction, customer will not be liable in all these circumstances. Similarly, customer liability has been capped at rupees 25,000 if a person reports unauthorized transaction within the 7 working days. However, a bank is free to determine customer liability if such a transaction is reported after 7 working days. Okay, so this is some information that you can write with respect to the credit card frauds. You'll be asked to explain in general about the credit card frauds. Also, there are some tools which can help the investigators to do the preliminary investigation. So doing the secondary or depth investigation like in a forensics laboratory is a difficult task. So we should have some certifications and also a costly tools we should have to have. However, I can tell you some of the important tools which are used in the investigation in the next class. Okay, now we'll continue with the question. So I am coming to the second question. Mention the layers of OSI reference model which the basic firewall types works. Okay, so so you have to know some of the in your networks also you have studied what are the different layers on what layer what devices works. Physical layer, right? It is the layer on which the firewall does not works. Hubs, repeaters, cables, fibers, wireless, we consider wireless channels on the physical layer or below. Data link layer, on this layer bridges, modems, network cards, right? Some switches works. On network layer, routers, okay, 3 layers switches works. On transport layer, the firewall works. On session layer, firewall works. On presentation layer, firewall works. On application layer, firewall works. Okay. These are the link between your OSI reference model and the different devices. Friends, you just go through this table. You will be having all answers in this, and the answers given here are not only just answers to this question. It's a broad view, from a broad perspective. Suppose if some other questions are asked, then also you can refer to this type of material. So explain any 3 of the following briefly. Explain them against different categories of cyber crimes and give an example. Okay. Password sniffing. So we have said password sniffing. A password sniffer is a software application. So please don't think this is the topic that we are discussing today. We have already discussed password sniffing. It's again a repetition, revision of the topics. Password sniffing is a software application that scans and records passwords that are used or broadcasted on a computer or network interface. It listens to all incoming and outgoing network traffic, records an instance of a data packet that contains a password. So you can go to this URL. Different. When I forward this material after the class, you can refer to this website where you will get relevant information. Also, you can go to techopedia.com for the definition of the password sniffer. So that's also that link is also given here. If a hacker cannot guess your password, there are other ways he or she can try to get it. One way, which has become very popular, is called password sniffing. Right? It turns out that most networks use what is known as broadcast technology. What that means is that every message that a computer on the network transmits can be read by any other computer on the network. In practice, all computers except the recipient of the message will notice that the message is not meant for them and ignore it. However, many computers can be programmed to look at every message on the network. If one does this, one can look at the message which are not intended for you. Hackers have programs which do this and then scan all the messages which traverse a network looking for passwords. If you log into a computer across a network and some computer on the network you use uh, you use has been compromised this way, you may end up giving your password to the attacker. Using this technique, hackers who have broken into computers which are on heavily used networks have collected thousands of passwords. This is a serious threat to users who log into your computer from remote sites. If you log into the console of a computer, your password never crosses a network where it can be snipped. But if you log in from some other school or from an internet service provider, you are dependent on the security of their network. What is phishing? So we have heard about phishing and different phishing techniques. So phishing on mobile phones or mobile wireless computing devices is called mishing. Okay. So M here represents the mobile wireless computing device. And also, what is social engineering? Right, a short note on social engineering. People use social engineering for making different attacks, including the phishing. And friends, you should know that phishing is a very important and serious attack. 14% of the employees generally, even though knowingly or unknowingly, they are clicking on phishing links and are becoming victim of the phishing attack. In medical industry also, the 7%, 7 to 14% of the attacks are done using the phishing technique, especially in medical health records, electronic health records management system. The medical patient records are very valuable, and people can sell the patient records having the credentials like a credit card number, insurance details, so many things, and they can misuse the information, and they can also think of getting the some financial support in a illegal way for the illegal person, for unauthorized person, the different schemes, right? Aishman scheme, for example, or during Corona, some scheme might have been announced by the government by stealing the patient records. They can misuse the benefits of the government. So they will also be one of the reasons for not enabling the governments and its agents to make them such programs benefit reach the actual ones. Okay. Social engineering is the art of manipulating people so they give up confidential information. The types of information these criminals are seeking can vary, but when individuals are targeted, the criminals are usually trying to trick you into giving them your passwords or bank information or access your computer to secretly install malicious software that will give them access to your computer passwords and bank information, as well as giving them control over your computer. Criminals use social engineering tactics because it's usually easier to exploit your natural inclination to trust than it is to discover the ways to hack your software. For example, it is much easier to fool someone who someone information giving your password than it is for you to try hacking their passwords. So this is one some information with respect to the social engineering. Cybercrime and cyber fraud. Internet fraud is a type of fraud which makes use of the internet. A fraudster posts a non-existent vehicle for sale to a website. Typically, a luxury or sports car advertised for well below its market value. Okay, so this is how the internet fraud occurs, and people become easily victim of the cyber uh, fraud or internet fraud. Mobile viruses. A mobile phone virus is a malicious computer program that targets cellular phones and other wireless personal uh, digital assistants. Once infected, a, a mobile phone can become a source for spreading the virus by sending texts and emails to other valuable devices. These texts and emails can lead other users to open or download the virus. The first ever computer virus spread by mobile phones has been sent to antivirus firms. No infections have been reported, and the worm is harmless, but it's proof that mobiles are at risk from virus writers. The worm, known as Carbane, right, infects phones and devices running the Symbian operating system, one that we have spoken now. So it's, you can call it as a virus or worms. And so Kabir virus or worms, if you have to explain. We have left with 10 more minutes. I will discuss the next question. Analyze the working of packet filter firewalls and stateful inspection firewalls. Suppose if an organization wants to implement security to restrict some games and filter packets of virtual private network, then what are the basic types of firewalls you suggest? Friends, very first, analyze the working of packet filter firewalls. You know that firewall sits in between your private network and the public network. 1 second. Packet filter firewalls, it does the filtering process at the network layer or transport layer of the OSI reference model. So packet filter firewalls works at the network and transport layer. First, the packet will be allowed or rejected or dropped depending upon the policies and rules that you have been framed at the firewall configuration. If the packet is rejected by firewall, firewall sends a message to the sender, so sender knows that packet was rejected. If the packet was dropped, the firewall simply does not respond to the packet. Therefore, the sender must wait until some timeout happens, and if you want, you can try resending the packet. Due to this, dropping packets greatly increases the time for scanning your network. So this is how the packet filter firewall works, and packet filter firewall do not understand the application layer protocol used in the communication packet. Does it simply the nowadays the firewalls will does simply the what is told. They cannot understand the content data of the packet. They work in a rule set which is existed in the TCP/IP kernel. This rule sets includes some action in order to match some criteria in the packets. There are two lists, permit list and the deny list in the kernel in order to route network packet to its exact destination. Firstly, the network packet must be checked in both the permit and deny list. That is, the packet has to be permitted to pass this check. While the packet passed through the firewall, first packet header information is examined and then goes into a dynamic state table. The data in the state table is used to evaluate following packets for verifying that they are part of the same connection or not. Then we'll be having stateful or stateless firewalls. So this is another question. So how analyze the working of packet filter firewalls? For that I have explained the answer. So now before completing the next question, let me take up a stateful versus stateless firewall. A firewall can be described as being either stateful or stateless. Stateless firewalls watch network traffic and restrict or block packets based on the source and destination address or other static values. They are not aware of traffic patterns or data flows. A stateless firewall uses simply rules set that do not account for the possibility that a packet might be received by the firewall pretending to be something you asked for. Stateful firewalls can watch traffic streams from end to end. They are aware of communication paths and can implement various IP security functions such as tunnels and encryption. In technical terms, this means that stateful firewalls can tell what stage a TCP connection is in. Sorry. Open, sent, synchronized and acknowledged are established. It can tell if the MTU has changed, maximum transfer unit. MTU stands for maximum transfer unit size, whether the packets have fragmented, etc. So these all the informations are known to stateful. Neither is really superior and nor there a good arguments for both types of firewalls. Stateless firewalls are typically faster and perform better under heavier traffic loads because it will not be remembering much, it is not having much functionalities. Okay, stateful firewalls are better at identifying unauthorized and fraud communication. Stateful firewalls, as you know, can understand the traffic and it can tell you many things as we have explained. That is question number 3. Okay. So it is 10:28. I think I can stop at this stage, and we have some more questions that we can discuss in the next class. Okay, what are virtual private networks, network address translation, smart ideas? Even though we have studied all these things, I think this type of discussion will help you to recall whatever we have studied, and you can have this as some way of reference material for answering the questions. Okay, so at this mm, 1 second. Okay, at this stage, I will conclude today's class. I request all of you to participate in all the classes. I hope your results will be fruitful. You will be able to write the examination in a proper way and attend all the classes. I am giving you a lot of material. After the discussion completion of this particular material, I will share it. Please keep all the materials, take the printout and study and have the practice of writing. If all of you agree, I would like to give one writing assignment uh, that will enable you to have some kind of practice of writing. Okay. I thank all of you for joining the class, and please join the next class on Friday morning at 8:30 to 9:30. Thank you. Hello. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ajay. Thank you, Sadeh Kumar Sima. And join the next class on Friday 8:30 to 9:30.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pa.